Hi, welcome to AI for Everyone. I'm Brett Hanson. If you're looking for breathless hype about the singularity or technical lectures from a Silicon Valley engineer, you're in the wrong place. There's some great podcasts for that, but this isn't one of them. I'm an educator. For 25 years, I've been in the trenches, teaching, coaching, and trying to help people learn how to learn. But for the last 3 years, my classroom has really changed. I've been focused on integrating AI into education and real-world workflows, as well as helping other people integrate AI into their own professional and personal lives. I've been testing lots of tools, breaking some of them, and learning how to build a foundation that holds up through my ISTE certification. But here's the truth. AI can be noisy. It's often overwhelming, and most people are either freezing up or just playing around on the edges. But we want to change that. So I'm launching the 2026 AI Fluency Series, a free series of 75 short, focused lessons, 15 to 20 minutes long, that are going to build your proficiency from the ground up. We're going to start simple, focusing first on starting some type of AI workflow, and then moving to privacy and basic prompting skills, to get people to overcome that initial hesitation. But we won't stay at that first level. Lesson by lesson, we'll ratchet up the complexity. We'll move from simple text generation to building more advanced custom gems and ChatGPTs. We're going to work on architecture workflows and understanding the ethics of omnipodal creation. Whether you're a teacher, a business owner, a gardener, or an artist, this series will help you become AI proficient. No code, no hype, just focused, earned wisdom and practical steps. Let's get to work. Good morning and welcome to AI Fluency Lesson 1, Creating an AI Workflow. I hope you're having a good morning or afternoon or good whatever time of the day it is, whenever you've managed to carve out time from your chaotic life. Once again, I'm Brett Hanson, and this is AI for Everyone. And I want to start today with what I think is kind of a hard truth, and that is that many of us are working really hard, perhaps a little too hard at times. And there's often a massive canyon-sized difference between doing the work we love and the logistics of the work we love. And so just quickly, I shifted to this new format within the podcast because I really wanted to keep it going, even though I haven't posted for a long time. And the reason is I was overwhelmed with work. I am a teacher in a rural public school, and as much as I wanted to continue working on these episodes, I was overwhelmed. My students were struggling. State tests showed all kinds of deficiencies that I had to work on, that we had to work on. And I needed to set this down for a little while. So this itself is an example of how we can use AI to simplify and streamline and still do the work we love. I really like sharing what I'm learning about AI for everyday users, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So we know we've all been in this situation. We kind of become the admin department of our own lives. We start as the artist, the teacher, the coach, and slowly, without even noticing, the admin debris starts to pile up and it accumulates all around us, and we feel this weight, and suddenly we aren't really leading anymore or really enjoying that part of the work. We're just reacting and trying to keep up. Now, AI, when it's used poorly, when we use it just for surface level tasks, really doesn't help that much because it starts to feel like more of the noise. It starts to feel like more of the admin debris. But when you start to improve your proficiency, and you start to cultivate your use of AI to improve your workflow, or what I call the proficiency spectrum, then you start to act more strategically. And AI stops being a tool and it becomes more of an energizer. And so it helps to clear the debris and actually do the things that you really want to do. It allows you space. So today we're going to talk about how to do that, how to get started doing that. And we're going to look at a real world example, a client of mine, and how we used a specific AI tool to help take care of the admin stuff and allow the person to do more of what she really wanted. So we are focusing on client workflow today. This is one of our big priorities for 2026. I want to show you exactly how people, specific people, professionals, students, people just working in their home, their yard, their garden, are using these tools in order to create more space and time and be more efficient. So I'm going to tell you about a project I'm working on with one of my clients. I won't share her name. She's really good at what she does. She works with all different levels of people trying to help draw their best skills out of them. As a coach, she listens, she synthesizes, and she figures out how to ask the questions that will help unlock other people's potential, and she loves it. But she realized that she had a problem, and that was the same problem that I had, logistical or administrative overload. And so suddenly the admin work begins to suffocate the pleasure of coaching other people to their potential. She told me that she needed to better understand AI, so we did a little work together, and she created a Google gem because she works primarily in the Google ecosystem. Now, if she had been using ChatGPT already, or if she was mostly in the Microsoft work system or workspace, then I would tell her to use ChatGPT or Copilot. But since she was already in the Google ecosystem, we created a gem. Now, a quick technical explanation. A gem is simply a customized AI model, a customized version of the Gemini chatbot. And it's not that hard to create gems. There are some things that you need to know. We're going to talk about them quickly. And they're really, really a great way to move forward with AI proficiency because they are so common nowadays in the work world, in the business world, and in our everyday lives. So the first thing that you need to do, or what we did, was created the gem in Google Gemini and then started with the instructions. Now, the instructions of a gem are kind of like the personality or the soul of the gem. And this is where you tell it how it will behave, how it will react and talk to you, what it will do with you during each session, and what it won't do. And so the instructions are really important. With new AI users, I often recommend that they open another Google Gemini chat and ask it to help them make the instructions to get started. But with all of these tools, we want to grow as we move forward. So the instructions will change as you start to figure out what you wanted to do. For example, this client really wanted positive affirmations at the beginning of each session. So she told it to always start with an encouraging reminder, like, you've got this, or you're doing great work, or your assistance or coaching is extremely helpful for all these people. Keep it up. I've had other clients who have wanted an immediate summary of the last 3 chats. You can tell Gem or Custom GPT to do this in the instructions. Now, the second component is what's called the knowledge base. And this is more like the brain. This is more like the database in a brain sense, where you store the consistent information. So in her case, this is her frameworks. This was where she put her style guide, the way she writes and talks for emails. And she can have different style guides, a professional style guide and a more familiar or lighthearted style guide. But her frameworks might be a PDF worksheet from her certification course, as well as other things. And she had quite a few, so she had a lot of frameworks information in there. She can also input into the knowledge base a CSV file of her clients' preferences, how many times they meet, things like that. And there are a lot of different ways that you can put this information in. But this will allow her to update these knowledge files as she goes, maybe once a month or every 2 weeks, depending on how often she works with clients. So she'll always be able to ask the core gem for information or for it to do certain things. Now, the workflow is the magic part. This is where she creates the chats for different clients. You can have more than one chat in the gem for different clients, but especially for a beginner, the best way is really to start a chat, maybe title it with the client name or initials, and then go back to that chat and continue to use it over and over again because it will remember everything within that chat. And this is where she will ask it to remind her about preferences, what they discussed in the last session, that kind of information. How have the sessions changed? Was there anything she's supposed to do? And it can include billing information, logistical information, all that kind of stuff. So this is what she would listen to on her way to the session. And if she's using, her phone app, she can talk directly to the gem and just ask it questions, and it will give her summaries while she's driving. It's really quite helpful and astounding. Now, this is where she'll be calm and ready for every meeting. And the more she uses it, the better the results. So the best part about all this is she doesn't have to learn any special technology. She doesn't have to do any coding. And now with the improvements in Gemini 3 and Nano Banana Pro and all the other things that are coming with this system, and ChatGPT is doing very similar things, she can make visual outputs. She can share progress through infographics and do all kinds of things that will allow her to focus her real time and attention on the relationship. That's really what she wants. Now, this brings us to our sort of main lesson for this session is the evolution toward and the growth toward AI taste. So for those of you who haven't listened to the beginning episodes, the first 10 in this podcast, we want to grow from whatever level we're at, whether it's level 1, a skeptic, to a level 4 or 5, really advanced workers, or a level 3 swimmer type level where you're using it regularly and it's helping you enormously, but you don't want to go any further. We want to move toward what's called AI taste through the cycle that I call ESCT. Now, you don't need to remember that at all. It's just experiences lead to the necessity for skills and the use of skills, which leads to more confidence, which leads to what we call AI taste. And so in her case, realizing that she was buried in notes and logistics allowed her the skill to force herself to build a gem. And then that led to more confidence in her ability to use AI and to trust the system. And then she would continue to move on. Now, taste is the understanding that AI is an engine of execution, and that as you better understand it, you know which types of executions apply where, or what types of tactics and skills apply where, and whether the results are good or they need to be modified. AI can read documents in seconds, huge documents, and it can process information at a deep level. It is an amazing element in our intellectual lives now, but it can't make value decisions. Not really. It doesn't know the client. It can't really build relationships. It is not human. That is our part. That's what we're going to do. So for me as a teacher, I use AI to help me do the logistical things as much as possible so I can spend more time and energy cultivating relationships with my students. And this client spends more time cultivating relationships with her clients and less time on other logistical things. So AI doesn't know whether your clients had a rough weekend or whether my students shutting down from facial expressions. Those are the things that I need to know. And as I get better at using AI, I can synthesize the two together. Now, one thing I hear often still today is this concern about whether or not people are cheating by using AI or losing their intellect. And my personal view is you won't lose your intellect as long as you keep cultivating intelligence in your field. If the real gift in this client's field is relationships and having that base knowledge, and if she has a tool that helps her remember the base knowledge or recall it quickly and organize things, It's a win-win situation. So you're not becoming less intelligent and you're not cheating. You're just simply becoming a better coach to help your clients more. If you're a librarian and you use AI, you're not cheating or depriving anyone of anything. You're simply becoming a book curator instead of the person who remembers exactly where each book is. So developing AI taste means shifting your value proposition. You stop valuing yourself based on how fast you can do something. The machine wins that game every time. AI is going to be fast, do the job better than most humans now in that intellectual part. You start valuing yourself on your ability to look at the output and determine which one's best for a circumstance and figure out how to synthesize things together and build relationships, to how to grow, how to plan, how to do all those things. A good analogy is it's kind of like photography. When cameras went from manual focus to autofocus, photographers didn't stop being artists. Autofocus just freed them to look at the subject more instead of the lens. Google Gems, custom GPTs, they're like the autofocus of our lives. They handle the mechanics so we can focus on the art. And that's the goal. So let's try to make this actionable now. I want to give you a try this today challenge. You might not have a coaching business and you might not use it regularly in your teaching profession, whether we're talking about your actual daily job or your plans for gardening or crafting or managing your home. You can use AI to get better at using AI. So I want you to build what's called a context bucket. You don't even need to build a gem for this. You can do this with a regular chat in Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot, in Claude, in any of them. So you're going to open a blank document of any kind. You're going to write down what we'll call the big three for a project you're working on. And feel free to change these if you see that it'll be better with something else. But in some way, you want to make sure you write down the goal, the words the goal. What does done look like? What is the goal for this project, no matter what it is? The constraints, what are the rules? So for example, budget things, timelines, deadlines, levels of tone or professionality for different tasks. And then what do you hate? Or you could call this like the anti-patterns or the logistics. What do you dislike? What do you not want to do? And then you save that text in that document. And then the next time you open your AI to do any work on that project, write an email, plan a schedule, whatever it is you're doing, paste that context bucket in first. So it will state your goal, your constraints, and the things you hate. And then you can just tell it, here's a context bucket for the Great World Texts video creations. Based on that, write an email that will, and then you just tell it what you want, and it will consider the main goal, the constraints, and the things you really dislike to do. So if you're using Google Workspace, you can save the document as project context, and then you can ask Gemini to reference it directly at any time, and you can pull it up quickly. I create folders to organize all this stuff in, but that's entirely up to you. The goal today is to stop treating AI like an enemy or a stranger and try to treat it more like an intern that you are training. It's just a permanent intern that will get smarter and smarter and never leave you for another job. So give it the tools, the handbook, the process it needs, and then just continue to improve. If you do this just once today, you will move from whatever level of usage you're at to better proficiency. Now, before we go, I want to remind you that you can email me any questions or inquiries about mentoring or becoming one of my clients if you want to improve. And you can just email me at hansoneducationservices@gmail.com. I am trying to build more community for everyday AI users, for people who want to build AI taste one day at a time, and help people individually as a mentor to develop more clients. So remember the cycle. Experience builds skill, skill builds confidence, confidence builds taste, and then you level up. Don't let AI intimidate you. If you learn a bit more each day, you will learn to master it at the level you want. Talk to you again soon.